Hi, my name is Tamara, and you are watching Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Thanks for watching again today. As you know, if you watch some of my other videos, I'm not a professional at this do-it-yourself stuff. I'm just a girl who's figured out that there are a lot of things around the house and out in the yard and on the cars that I can do myself. And at this point, I figured out I'm making a pretty good hourly wage when you look at it that way. So I hope you are too now. So today, continuing what seems to be my new obsession with doing electrical work. I'm just kidding, it's really not. It's just that there's a lot of electrical that's needed to be done around here, and now I'm tackling it. Today, I'm going to be replacing one of my overhead spotlights that's gone out, and the information I'm going to show you today pretty much applies to any light fixture that you want to change. So it's pretty universal. So let's get started. So as always, I'm going to go over the things that we're going to need today first. Of course, you'll need a driver of some sort, and it can be manual or power. You'll need, I know that I need both a flat head and a regular head type screwdriver, which I do not have the flat bit for my power driver, which is too bad for me. You're going to need your new light fixture. So in my case, it would be this one. You want to make sure whenever you order it or buy it that you match the wattage and the volts required to your old light fixture. That's the safest way, in my opinion, to do it. So this is mine, and it does come with its own hardware. It also comes, I discovered whenever I was putting the first one in the other day, with a set of very unfortunately terrible and obscure instructions. So we're not going to be using those. You will need a light to go in your fixture. Make sure again that you match up the correct light. Mine had very specific requirements. You will need some electrical tape, and you may or may not need some pliers. I just always like to have these around just in case. You will also need a ladder depending on how high your ceiling is, of course. And that would be all. Well, I'm starting to think that my fuse box might be becoming as familiar to you as it is to me. Because what do we always do before we do anything with electricity? We flip off the appropriate fuse. So I'm going to go down. Mine are all labeled, and of course I found this earlier today so that I wouldn't have to sit here and read for a while to find it for y'all. But I'm going to go ahead and flip it off. My lights are off, my power's off. I know everything is good to go. And in this case, since it is with a light, then if you flip the fuse switch and the light goes off, you know that there's no power. So I am doing this video as best I can. This is a really high and awkward place for me to try to video here, so you guys will have to forgive me if things are a little weird, but I'm going to explain what I do as I do it. I've brought all of my things, my tools, up here to the top of the ladder with me. Thankfully, I also have a high shelf sitting right next door, so I can set some things on it. So I'm going to go ahead, since the power's off, I'm going to go ahead and remove the little screws that are in this fixture. Well, it's not even a fixture, it's just a plate. And there's those. And then the next set of screws, which is here on the end. Okay, taking off the next set of screws. And these screws I actually want to keep because I want to put the next fixture on them. And now we have our wires exposed. So that's really helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to yank everything out. And as you can see, there is, let's see, we don't need that brown wire. That's not connected to anything. Well, it's connected to the other light, but it has nothing to do with us. So we have our regular, our black, which is our hot, our white, which is neutral, and a green grounding wire. So I'm going to go ahead, unscrew these wire nuts. Wire nuts are the best invention ever. And carefully untangle the existing one. So now we've already got that off. Holding on to these wire nuts, like them, they have a extra little cover to them. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my new light, and it doesn't really matter what order you connect these in. The main thing is just to make sure that you have plenty of wire wrapped around each connecting wire and that you screw those wire nuts back on tight. So I'm doing the ground first. You don't have to do these in any particular order, just remember to match the colors correctly. And then the hot black. Oops. Don't fall off your ladder while you're doing this too. Go ahead and screw that on until it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to do the neutral. Okay. Great. And then I had a suggestion from somebody on one of my other electrical videos, which I thought was a really good one. And he said that he likes to use electrical tape. Excuse me. Whenever he does any wiring like this. And I think that's a really good idea because it just helps to ensure that nothing comes loose, there's no exposed wires, and everything's just nice and tight. So I'm going to go ahead and put electrical tape. And it doesn't take a whole lot. You're not insulating, you're just securing. So I'm putting electrical tape on each connection, the bottom also. So now I know that this is really going to stay for sure. All right, so now we have that done. Next thing I'm going to do, take those two little screws that I took out of the final fixture a minute ago. I'm going to shove all these wires up in here. This is where this particular fixture gets very nice and awkward to install, which is fantastic. Not really. And I'm just going to go ahead. Thankfully, it uses the power driver. And I'm going to screw that fixture back in. Or screw it in. It hasn't been in yet. Okay, so it's in. The wires are tucked up in there nicely and secured. And then I need my other screws, wherever they are. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and stick the screws through the plate here and get that up in there. Well, finish shoving my wires up in there, evidently. Guess that's at the max. But, you know, you can't finish shoving these wires until that's in there. As always, it is a little tight. Ideally, I would not be touching the insulation, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay. Now, I'm sorry if I block your view from one point. Can't see where the holes are on here. Okay, I'm just going to get my screw started a little bit here on that side. Then I'll get out of your way. And then on this side. And then I'll finish screwing them in. I'm just going to do a little on each side at a time. I want to make sure this can still swivel. Okay, and it's in. Okay, I realized I can't finish this out without going ahead, of course, and screwing in the light bulb and installing it. Whoops. I was gonna do this, I promise, but I didn't have the light bulb up here with me. So I'm gonna go ahead and position it where I want it to be, because this corner has been very dark for quite some time, so that's how I want it to be. Now I'm gonna go flip the fuse box, see what happens. So back at the fuse box, shall we say, let there be light? That's too corny, but really, let there be light. Wow, did you see how unbelievably easy that was? And it took probably all of 5 minutes. In fact, I think it took me longer to figure out how to set up the camera so you could actually see what I was doing than it did for me to change out the fixture. So, and it makes such a huge difference. That fixture's been out for a long time and I've needed to change it and I just haven't, because you know how those things just stack up and whatever. Anyways, so if you have a traditional looking light fixture, like not a spot fixture, it's gonna be pretty much the same thing. You're gonna have a hot, a neutral, and a ground wire, and your new fixture is gonna have the black, white, and green also. And you just hook them back up the way that you found them. That's all you do. And again, of course, make sure to turn off your fuse box beforehand and turn it back on after. The big one is turning it off beforehand, though, because that's for your own personal safety. So that's all I've got for you today. So I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe it helped you out a little bit. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you very much to everyone who already has, and I'll see you again next time.